My name is Miki Fukudome. I'm a 20-year-old college student. In this issue, I present a painful story of defeating crazy parents. I have a younger sister named Miho, who is only in the 3rd grade. We're 11 years apart. She's the apple of my eyes, and I love her so much. We're the closest sisters in the neighborhood. But one day, when my sister came home from school... Oh, welcome home! I have snacks so we can eat together. What's wrong? My sister was crying. I soon found out why. After all, my sister's school bag was covered with graffiti that was so ugly to look at. Anyway, I quieted my sister who was crying, and after she calmed down, I talked to her. Here's how it all started. There was a girl in her class who was ignored by everyone. The reason for this was vague, and it seems like it just sort of happened. My sister, who felt sorry for her, talked to her proactively and took care of her in any way she could. But that seems to have gotten the attention of the girl who was the main bully. Thus, my sister was made the target of bullying. Not only was she ignored, but the contents of her pencil box were destroyed, her notebooks and textbooks were scribbled on, and to top it all off, her school bag was ruined. It's a common story, but I can't believe it happened to my own sister. My sister was completely terrified of school and couldn't go from the next day. Of course, I'm not going to leave it at that. I consulted my mother, Kaho, and decided to appeal to the school. But how was it? Well, it wasn't good enough. What do you mean not good enough? Miho's school bag was ruined, remember? And on top of that, they wrote ugly and die and stuff. That's just plain bullying. Calm down. I'll explain it to you right now. Sorry, go ahead. I went to the school and spoke with our homeroom teacher, Mr. Inagi, and the vice principal. I told them the whole story. Then, first, Mr. Inagi said he thought that was a bit much, but he also said it's too early to label it bullying. What? If this isn't bullying, then what is it? Of course, I didn't back down. The vice principal said he'll investigate this incident. He said we'll deal with it after we get the results. We don't have time for that. By the way, what's the investigation? They're going to survey the students. If there's an answer that Miho is being bullied, after that, the parents will discuss it with each other. When is the survey? He said as soon as it's ready. I can't believe they haven't even set a specific date. I don't think we can count on them at all. I told them to deal with it as soon as possible. Listening to you, it sounds like they have some kind of bureaucratic structure. Maybe they'll be vague if you leave them alone. No way. That's not going to happen. You can never say never. Besides, even if the survey is administered, that's not the end of the story. I'm not going to give up. Thus, I decided to ask the school for a quick response. The method was quite simple. I just called the school almost every day. When will this investigation, or whatever it's called, take place?
Well, it will take place shortly, so...
I'm asking for a specific date. I was uncomfortable because I felt like a vicious complainer, but I couldn't give in. Thanks to my urging, a survey was conducted, and it seems that several people in Miho's class expressed the opinion that there had been bullying, even leading a discussion among the parents. And on the day of the discussion, I had to stay home and take care of Miho, so my mother went alone. But I'm home. What's wrong this time? My mother came home with a look of utter exhaustion on her face. My mother told me the details of that discussion, and it was disastrous. My mother, my homeroom teacher, and the parents of the 3 girls who were alleged to be the ringleaders of the bullying gathered in a room at the school. The first to speak was Ms. Yamada, the mother of the female student who's the leader of the group, estimated to be in her 40s with a madam-like appearance. There is no way my child would bully anyone. It's a conspiracy by the students who are jealous of my child because she's so bright and pretty. She was a doting parent type and never admitted fault. Ms. Tanaka was the next to speak, estimated to be in her 30s with speckled blonde hair. She herself was a former school bully. I mean, it's just kids fighting, right? Why did I have to come all the way here? Apathetic and uncooperative type. Again, she won't admit fault either. The last person is Ms. Sato, estimated to be in her 50s, slightly overweight with a scrappy motherly appearance. Young people these days are so over the top. Stress will make you fat like me. Just joking. The type that doesn't understand the gravity of the situation and won't admit fault either. My daughter's school bag was a terrible mess. It's nothing but bullying. My mother, of course, tried to pursue it. My child said she didn't do it. Well, what are you getting mad about? Ugh, you're so annoying. You'll get wrinkles if you get so angry. Thus, the conversation never progressed. The homeroom teacher, Mr. Inagi, tried to move the conversation along.
Well, according to the survey, several students testified that Miss Yamada was involved, so...
Of course, those kids are lying. How can you call yourself a teacher if you don't know that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
He succumbed mainly under the pressure of Ms. Yamada, and he wasn't at all a force to be reckoned with. In the end, nothing was resolved, and the story was carried over to the next time. My mother has fought so hard in this hellish situation. Of course she would run out of spirit. But by the looks of it, it's clear that the next round will be similar. So, I resorted to our family's ultimate weapon, my father, Shozo, who is in rural Japan on an extended business trip. I know he's busy with work, but he's the only one who can turn this situation around. Dad, it's about Miho.
Yeah, your mother told me all about it. I heard they had a discussion today. How did it go?
That's exactly what I want to talk about. Apparently, all three of them never admit fault. She also said the teacher seemed unreliable.
I see.
In the end, the conversation didn't proceed and was carried over to the next meeting, but I don't think we'll see progress next time. So, I was wondering if I could borrow some of your wisdom.
That's one thing, but I have a better way. I'll be there for that discussion or whatever it's called.
Is that okay? I thought you were still planning to stay there for a while.
I finished it with gusto. It's a big deal for Miho, so of course. I'll be back tomorrow.
That's great. Well then, please.
I'm trying to sort out the situation, so tell me what's going on. First, how did the school identify the bullying and its perpetrators?
Looks like they took an anonymous survey in class. So the other students named the kids in the group who were bullying.
I see. So how did the parents react?
One of them was all about how her daughter would never do such a thing. The other was indifferent and uncooperative. The last person didn't think they did anything wrong.
Okay.
I have a favor to ask you.
What is it?
Please go all out! And on the day of the meeting, my father attended the discussion with my mother. The three who had been so flustered were said to have been blatantly frightened. That's because my father was 190 centimeters tall, originally from the judo club, so he had a good physique, and above all, he was so strong that his peers feared him as a monster.
First of all, let me say that this is a discussion of a serious topic, bullying. Please understand that this is not a place to be lax or make silly jokes.
He promptly checked in with Ms. Tanaka and Ms. Sato. The quiet but non-committal tone of his voice made the two flinch. But Ms. Yamada was upset, but persisted. I'll say it again. My child didn't do it. She just got trapped in an ugly jealousy. It was a quandary in a way, that she didn't blink under the circumstances. But my father calmly responded.
Well, several students have mentioned your daughter's name. Are you saying that all those children are telling the same lie?
When he showed that it was an unreasonable claim, Ms. Yamada flinched. While this was happening, my father unleashed a follow-up attack.
To tell you the truth, I attended this meeting because I wanted to share something with you. All of you will be charged for damages to property and emotional distress, as well as compensation.
For what it's worth, my father is a lawyer. People call him the monster that lives in the courtroom. In reality, he's a lawyer like a hero of courtroom dramas who fights for the socially disadvantaged. I admire my father like that, and I'm studying law in college. So, I asked my father for help, with a view to bringing a civil lawsuit. My father's bombshell upset all three of them. You don't have to file a lawsuit. Yeah, it's just kids fighting, right? You're overreacting.
The ruined school bag and textbooks are personal belongings, and my daughter has suffered so much mental anguish that she's had to go to a mental health clinic because of this incident. I think we have enough grounds to sue.
To begin with, bullying is taken lightly because of the image of it as an altercation between children. In fact, what the bullying perpetrator does is an act that deserves to be sued. The teacher didn't expect it to be this big of a deal, and he couldn't hide his upset.
Please calm down. Let's keep it civil.
But the monster that lives in the courtroom showed no mercy.
By the way, I see that there are some problems with the school's handling of the situation. I intend to sue for breach of duty of care.
He informed the parents as well as the school of the lawsuit. Thus, this one incident caused more of a stir than anyone could have anticipated. Naturally, word got around among other parents. Basically, it's an exchange between adults, but if it gets this big, the kids will know what's going on to some extent. The bully, a female student, was on the hook for the accusations and stares from her classmates. As a result, they either stopped attending school or changed schools, not to mention that the parents in the school were actually charged for damages and fees. I'm sure there's a lot of fraying going on in each of the households as well. Miho, on the other hand, is slowly but surely regaining her energy. Whether to return her to that school is a touchy subject, but that's something we'll have to think long and hard about.